Hello everyone, my name is Ori Adventure, and today I'm going to show you how to make an awesome Fursona. What is a Fursona? A Fursona can be an OC or a role-playing character, but usually it's a person's depiction of themselves. Some people have one, other people have 1,000. The question is, why? Why do people have thousands of these things lying around? Now, it depends on person to person. Some people have multiple role-playing characters. Other people have thousands just because they want thousands, I suppose. It doesn't quite make sense, especially since no one really has the money to be making art for each of these sonas or be using these sonas constantly. However, it is still possible and it still makes sense to have more than one if you really want to. What is the key to making a Fursona? It's you. It's supposed to represent you the best way possible. Now, the issue comes from how to make that Fursona look awesome while representing you. The key thing to making a good Fursona is that you want the character to be memorable. What do I mean by memorability? Memorability means if someone saw a list of Fursonas, and they're all wolves, let's just say, what makes your Fursona stand out from all those other Fursona wolves? And this can come from very different things, which I'll be explaining in this video series. One of the key things to keep in mind is that memorability is really attached to simplicity. If you can make something very simple and make it easy to remember and stand out, you got your Fursona. You got a character that can easily be remembered. Why do I think simplicity is key? Let me give you an example to show you what I mean. Let's say you have a Fursona with thousands of patterns on it. Even thousands is a little pushing it. Let's say 5. Each of these 5 patterns are in various places and they're all different. Even the colors are a little bit different. Now, you'll remember seeing this Fursona. However, the issue is that you'll have trouble recreating or trying to imagine this Fursona again because there's so many complex details like different colors, different patterns, squares, triangles, all these things. Where on the other hand, if you have something like a simple gray wolf Fursona, you'll remember seeing a gray wolf Fursona. You'll be able to recreate it. You can reimagine it. The issue is he becomes too simple. He's just too easy to forget. He's just another gray wolf Fursona after all. What you want is a balance between complex things and simple things. You want to have some features that are particular, but you don't want just tons and tons of features that are particular to the Fursona and makes everyone have trouble reimagining this Fursona or trying to remember it in general. Let's talk about your Fursona's body shape. Your body shape is the easiest way to make your Fursona stand out quickly and very simply. It doesn't take much to make your Fursona's body different. Let's say you want to make a Fursona that's relatively skinny. Personally, I wouldn't make it a relatively skinny Fursona because there's very few people that are just flat out skinny on every part of their body. Instead, there is some fat somewhere and there is some muscle mass somewhere, in my opinion. So, taking a look at my own Fursona, I usually draw him with relatively strong legs and a really weak upper body for this reason. And it comes out that he becomes a little bit more memorable because of this, because his body shape is so unusual. Personally, when it comes to species, I would play off stereotypes. So for example, felines, you might imagine them as something sassy, a little bit sarcastic, but somewhat introverted. Rodents, maybe someone timid or shy. Canines, kind of brave, bold, stuff like that. This makes it easy for you to figure out which Fursona you want. I also want to mention what sonas you should avoid picking or which ones will give you trouble and why. Now, the safe picks are things like wolves, felines, and foxes. They're safe picks because most artists can draw them. They're fairly easy to draw. There's reference material for them. There's tons of Fursonas that you can base your Fursona off of or use for hints when it comes to making these kinds of Fursonas. Where on the other hand, other species, you'd have a little bit more trouble and less variety when it comes to looking for references or looking for how to draw certain angles, different things like that. Should you pick a Fursona or a species that's unusual just for the sake of being original? Personally, I would say no. Now, yes, there's much more wolves and cats than there are, so let's say, bats or rats. But then again, if you have a really unique wolf, and there's tons of ways they can make a wolf unique, then you can just go ahead, go wild with a wolf, and you can still make your persona very unique without having to touch an unusual species. Are there species that personally I would avoid picking? Yes. There are copyright species, things like protogens, Dutch angel dragons, Pokemon and Digimon, stuff like that. Personally, I would avoid picking them because they are species that are copyrighted. If you ever want to use your Sona in something that could be commercial, let's say on a Patreon project, I've seen some people say that they'll put your persona in the game if you give them a certain amount of money. You wouldn't be able to do this if your persona if they belong to a copyright species. So let's say I have a Luxray as a species. I can't use that Luxray for something in the game. However, there are loopholes. What you can do is fuse your sonas or adjust that persona or species so much that it would be hard to tell. So let's say you want to make a protogen, but on the other hand, you kind of want to make a Dutch angel dragon. What you can do is smack those two together and you have a protogen / Dutch angel dragon, which in its own right, it would be cool. And people can't exactly say that you've copied a protogen or you've copied a Dutch angel dragon. Of course, you should try to avoid copying the features exactly. You should adjust them, you should change them up. And usually, generally, when you make personas, they will change a little bit. So if you give it a little bit of time as well, they do tend to change. Of course, you didn't hear any of this from me. You should try to make them not copyright species the best you can, but if you do end up using copyright species, make sure that you either you have credit from the artist or you're allowed to use it, or they're so different or just unique or different in some kind of way that you can say that it's not exactly a protogen. It's based off of one, but it's not a protogen per se. With that in mind, now you have a body and a persona species that you can use for your persona that you're making. In the next video, we'll be talking about colors. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions or any criticisms, something that I can do to improve the video, please let me know in the comments below. If you want any kind of notifications or want to be updated when I make my next video, please subscribe and hit that bell button. Thank you and have a wonderful day.